Hey everyone, this is Secular Spirit, and I'm posting this video in December, which is Ex-Muslim Awareness Month, to ask a key question that presents a dilemma within the ex-Muslim community. How should ex-Muslims behave towards Muslims? There's a clip that went viral on Twitter earlier this month that will help me answer this question. Here it is for those of you who haven't seen it. Now, I'm not sure if this is the original video being posted by this account. I've linked to the post in the video description below, by the way. And I'm also not sure which country this was filmed in. But from some comments, it seems like it was in the United Arab Emirates or maybe Saudi Arabia. But what I do know is that this video, which comes with the caption, "Ice Cream Break," has been watched nearly 29 million times since it was posted on December 6th. Of course, because this is the internet, there's a barrage of insults and intentionally aggravating jokes going on, targeting the woman and Muslims in general, and then jokes going the other way, mocking people in the West. The post has also triggered an avalanche of replies supporting and criticizing Islam and its treatment of women. And here's the most interesting part: defending the woman in the video, but from completely different and sometimes opposing perspectives. One person describes it as a sad tragedy how Islamists treat women like dirt, and how this is one of the many reasons why the West shouldn't put up with Islamism. Others support the woman in the video and say she is forced to wear the facial covering due to the oppression of Islam. Elsewhere, there's many people admonishing the ones filming to leave her alone, to not invade her private space. Others take it a step further and call it disrespect for other cultures. One person said this, for example: "I do not understand how we can be societies that claim freedom, violate the freedoms of others, and then criticize and ridicule others simply because they are different." And then this reply, which got thousands of likes, I think captures very well a common Muslim attitude towards the original posters of the clip. "We as Muslims adhere to our religion, customs, and traditions that Islam has encouraged us to follow. The video you mocked made me feel immense pride, and I'm sure that Muslims around the world share my sentiment. Imagine, sir, if I were to film a Christian woman on the beach in her swimsuit and ridicule her just for her appearance. Would that be acceptable? So do not impose your religion or its customs on me and laugh if I follow the practices of my religion. But thankfully, the internet has shown us Muslims that the backward and dark world is not the Arab and Muslim world, but rather yours." 3 things really stood out to me here. 1, a clear communication of support, and this Muslim even uses the word pride regarding a woman covering herself with a niqab. 2, a comparison of the Muslim woman wearing a niqab to a Christian woman wearing a swimsuit. And 3, a denunciation of the Western world beyond the Arab and Muslim world. So I'll get back to these things in a moment. But first, I'll tell you what I felt as I watched the video. Much like some Muslims who've commented, I felt disappointment and annoyance at what seems to be on the surface. People filming a Muslim woman and laughing at her for what they perceive to be a ridiculous action, her lifting her facial covering out of the way, just enough to be able to eat ice cream while revealing as little as possible of her face in the public space of the small food court. Although I don't personally find it funny, I can see how some non-Muslims who aren't familiar with the culture might laugh as an automatic reaction to the sheer absurdity of the situation. The question from the perspective of some non-Muslims likely is, why does she put herself under such restrictions when it would be so much easier and more comfortable to just remove the facial covering and to take it a step further, just dress like a Western woman so she can simply enjoy her ice cream? Now, I suspect there's an additional question going on, maybe not with these particular people, but with some non-Muslims who might also be critical of Islam. Why is she stupid enough to follow these oppressive Islamic teachings that restrict her like this? The simple answer is that she's following certain Islamic teachings that tell Muslim women a few things, using the authority of God the Creator, who knows best and will punish those who reject him in hell. That a good, modest woman must cover her body and her face. That a woman who exposes herself is inviting unwanted and potentially dangerous and violent male attention. That a woman who exposes herself also potentially brings embarrassment and shame to her family. Not so funny anymore, is it? When you have more information, it's not about any person's stupidity or ignorance. It's about the belief system they've been taught and followed, most likely since they were young children. And yet, it still is absurd. The truly tragic thing about this little snippet of this woman's life is her just wanting some ice cream is a reminder that she's only a human being like any one of us, of simple human needs and desires. She isn't a representative of the purity or truth of Islam, or a punching bag to make fun of and judge. Both viewpoints neglect her humanity. Now, to talk about how this brought up the dilemma that ex-Muslims face in dealing with Muslims. As ex-Muslims who've managed to free themselves of the toxic teachings of Islam, it might be tempting to ridicule this Muslim as a gullible and foolish believer, as an ignorant sheep blindly following commands that are directly and blatantly harming her. Beyond just her, it might be tempting to make similar criticisms about other Muslim individuals. I suspect that behind this mocking and joking is a lot of anger, because we ex-Muslims were in the same position of Muslim believers at one point, and that anger is directed at the family and society that indoctrinated us. While it might feel cathartic in the moment to make jokes at the expense of a Muslim individual, we have to remember a few key things. Muslims, even the ones who attack us verbally and physically, are also victims of Islam. When it comes to targeting Muslim individuals, there are public-facing Muslims who are spreading Islam's teachings. Some also speak aggressively against ex-Muslims, who I'd say are fair game, but this is a person minding her own business, just trying to have some ice cream in peace. I personally believe that a Muslim woman should have the freedom to wear a niqab or a hijab if she chooses to do so, even though I believe that it's an oppressive teaching designed to control her. For me, that's a tough stance to take, knowing that in many cases, it's indoctrination since childhood that's likely the reason for her choice. A choice made under pressure from family, society, and the God she believes to be real. Despite that, it's important that we live in a society where people are allowed to make their own choices for their bodies and determine their own beliefs. So when ex-Muslims encounter cases like this online, instead of targeting her with criticisms, we should focus on the teachings that led to her making this choice, self-imposed or externally imposed. To do that, we can use the key points made by the Muslim's Twitter reply I highlighted earlier. Let's go through them one by one. First of all, there was a clear communication of support and even pride for a woman covering herself with a niqab. This is where the power of Islam is so damaging to women, in this vision of a society where women's sexuality is a threat to others and themselves. So modesty, in other words, covering up your sexuality, is the solution. Not only does this approach lead to women getting blamed for unwanted sexual attention and even sexual assault, it also hypersexualizes women. Women's sexuality is so dangerous that they can't even be seen. That's why even Muslims should see the need to discard this approach. Second, equating the Muslim woman wearing a niqab to a Christian woman wearing a swimsuit. This is an inaccurate comparison that seems to downplay the impacts of Islam. After all, this hypothetical Christian woman is not wearing a swimsuit because of her Christianity. In a non-Muslim society, a woman might decide to wear or not wear clothing for many reasons, but this woman has more freedom in her reasoning and her choices than in the Muslim woman's case, because she's doing it according to the teachings of the one true religion from the creator of everything, or so she believes. It's hard to question that authority, and that unquestionable authority is what needs to be challenged. And lastly, there's a denunciation of the world beyond the Arab and Muslim world. Explicit in this is a view that the Arab and Muslim world is superior. While this is definitely lashing out, it does reflect something else, that in some Muslims' minds, the Western world would be better if everyone there was Muslim and following Islamic teachings, that all women there would also cover themselves. Now, this is the attitude we as ex-Muslims need to challenge for the sake of Muslims and non-Muslims alike. And that's it from me. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you can give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I also hope you can spread the word about Ex-Muslim Awareness Month, because after all, getting acceptance starts with awareness. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back with another video soon.